Good morning, JJ. Good morning,
Good
everybody. Hi. Haven't
How
seen
are
you in a
you?
while. You were away for a while. You were in Hawaii, I think it was, right?
I was in Hawaii and then I was in Chicago for a funeral, but then we made the
Oh,
most of it by visiting family. So
okay.
and went to the Southside Irish Parade and did all the things Chicago and St. Patrick's Day. My
Okay.
son lives up there, so we got to, we got family time.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Well, it's nice to be here with you again today.
Same here. This is
Yeah.
going to be a good show. I have some funnies,
Okay.
some fun non-bear topics,
Okay. Okay. Beautiful.
the bear unnecessities.
The bear unnecessary. Oh, that's cute. I like that. That's a fun take.
That, hey,
Beautiful.
if anybody's listening, following along, we're going to talk about what is a sandwich.
A sandwich.
What
Okay.
qualifies as a sandwich? That
Okay. That's interesting.
a little game that we'll play.
Okay. All right. Very
But I'm
cool.
excited to hear about your topics. I saw
Yeah.
them last night. I was like, ooh, this is going to be good.
Yeah, I'll be sharing a bit of bear medicine from First Nations, from various First Nations teachings,
Yes.
and how also in my 20s that was a big stronghold for me as First Nation teachings. I spent many years learning with different elders, and yeah, bear medicine is very close to my heart, so I'm going to share that. And then a topic called "It Is What It Is," and also
Oh,
be surprising with that one because there's
it'll be another.
yeah, yeah, it's going to be fun.
It will be so fun.
So today, welcome everybody. So good to be back. And thank you for watching us wherever you're watching us from. And I'm going to let you know some other places you can watch us from if you need to at any other time. So you can watch us on YouTube, Rumble, Kick at Rhode Island Broadcasting, and Twitch at RI_broadcasting, and on X, Twitter at Broadcasting RI.
Mm.
And then you can listen to us as audio at Red Circle, Spotify, TuneIn, and iHeartRadio at RI Broadcasting. And then to follow us on social media, we're still trying to build our Facebook, so please go to Facebook. Even right now, just quickly go there and like us so that we can start streaming there as well, since we lost our 10,000 followers.
From
The
the
anomaly of something with Facebook. So please go to Facebook and like us there and help us grow there again. That would be so wonderful.
right.
And so then we also got Blue Sky, MeWe, Parlor, Gab, LinkedIn, and Space Hey. It's such a fun name. Yeah. And all those are at RI Broadcasting. And then our website is RhodeIslandBroadcasting.net. And you can watch all of the shows there and movies and music and vote for the ongoing challenges, like competition, I guess you'd say, every month of different shows or actors and things like that. The Hall of Fame, right? So you can vote there. Here's the QR code.
Sean Connery's got to be in the lead. He's got to
He
be
was
in the
in the lead
lead.
last week. Yeah, he
Yeah.
was in the lead last week. So yeah, that's going pretty good. Who are you?
Got a week to vote, people.
You're voting for Sean Connery as well, or?
Oh yeah, I voted.
Yeah. Oh,
Although
he's still
I
at
love
70.
Paul Newman. That was a hard, but yeah, Sean Connery. Yeah.
Okay. Yep, me too. That's who I'm voting for as well. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, I'm looking at the chats. I'm not sure what happened, but Restream is saying I should open up my OnlyFans account. I was like,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I don't have one of those.
Okay. Restream,
know.
what's going on? Yeah.
I don't know what's going on.
So I'm going to go into everybody who is on the list for the Hall of Fame though first. So that's John Wayne, Paul Newman, Steve McQueen, Jack Lemmon, and Sean Connery. So those are the panelists for the Hall of Fame.
And Sean Connery is leading at 77%.
Yeah, so that's pretty awesome. He's my favorite actor.
Yeah.
The other guys are good too, but I like Sean Connery.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then we're going to talk about the Uganda Fund. Are you going to take over on that one, or should I do it?
You can do it. I mean, I know it's on the Rhode Island Broadcasting net. it is, Becky took a trip over there, really saw some heartbreaking things. A family that she connected with and was helping in the village. Her children were stolen from a witch doctor,
Yeah,
kidnapped
I
her,
heard.
and were sacrificed and murdered.
Unbelievable.
So trying to support that family, but really that village,
Yeah.
that holistic village. The dollar goes very far there, both the Canadian dollar and the American dollar.
Mhm.
So any amount helps to support not just that family, but really the village itself, so that there is water, education, food.
There's a roof for the school too, right?
Food for the
A
schools,
roof
yeah.
for the school.
And
Yeah.
on the RhodeIslandBroadcasting.net, there's a video that you can see really what the money will be used for and how the money will be very smartly and efficiently managed, all your donations. So
Yeah, and I believe she said that 100% is going straight there. So there's no
correct.
in between places where not
That's
paying any fees or people doing the work
right.
or anything. It's all going to the direct source of the
That's right.
family and the village involved. So yeah, I'm so happy that she went there, and horrible what she saw, but
Yeah.
also in that she's, there's an action being able to be taken to help and bring support.
We cross paths with people that were meant to.
Yes,
So he was meant to cross paths at that
yes,
time. Yeah.
yes, yes,
So,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. Yeah. Go watch all that. It's pretty moving. It's interesting. And then all the donation um, information is on the site. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. So you can go there now or later. And do we have a QR code for that too, Ron? I'm just wondering. Not sure if we do.
I don't know if we
No, we don't.
do. I know it's on the website.
Okay, beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful. Beautiful.
The donation links. So yeah, and none of us, nobody's making any money off it. This is Becky doing it from her heart and setting this up, and the Rhode Island Broadcasting Group and all the hosts kind of
Promoting and stuff.
supporting Becky and that initiative. So this is just, we're all doing that because we are a community and
Yes,
we support each other. So
yes. And it's community that helps us. When one rises, we all rise, right?
that's
So
right.
when we give support, then everybody is supported essentially, right? Because that
That's
love,
right.
that community is there.
Right. Rising tide lifts all boats.
Yes,
But
yes.
also, most importantly, when we all come together and rise those tides,
Mhm,
we also want to make sure that when the tide goes out, that
mhm,
we're not left with naked bodies and dead
mhm.
at the bottom of the sea.
Yeah.
So it's not just about rising tides with the people that, that look like us or think like us, or it's also looking
For
at
everybody.
broader, it's for everybody. Because
Absolutely.
we don't want to leave anybody at the bottom.
Yeah. In Hawaii, they have the word ohana. No one gets left behind.
Nobody left behind. Yeah.
Nobody left behind. Yeah, absolutely. And we all do
That's,
our little part, and
that's
that little
right.
part
That's
counts.
right.
Yep. Yep. Beautiful. Beautiful. So, man
All
versus
right. Man
bear.
versus bear. Luannah, I can't wait to hear your. I don't know if you've seen this debate. It's been going on for probably a year on social media, TikTok. It's kind of made its rounds. There's
Really?
a ton of videos on it. Yeah, because the question was posed in a hypothetical situation. This is asking a woman, if you were in the woods, who would you rather be alone with?
Oh,
A
wow.
man
Yeah.
or a bear? And
Wow.
overwhelmingly, I mean, there are thousands of videos of women being asked this question, because it kind of started with like man on the street, going, hey, to women kind of walking up. If you were stuck in the woods, who would you rather be stuck with, a man or a bear?
Right.
And overwhelmingly, women are choosing the bear.
Wow.
So I will pose to you, Luann.
would I choose
And
the
there's a
bear?
lot of reasons for
Yeah,
it. A
yeah,
lot of people have kind of been studying the patterns and the themes of why women are choosing that from a psychology perspective and listening to the reasons why.
yeah.
But I'm curious, what would you choose?
I'd probably choose the bear.
Yeah. Hey, Jake, how are you doing? I want to give a shout out.
Hey, Jake.
Jake, I don't know if you've also seen any of this participation on social media, but yeah, many women are choosing the bear. So,
Yeah.
what would be your reasons to see if they line up with the patterns that other women are choosing? And I'll be like, when I was posed that question, that was my answer of I would choose the bear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, just the general. I mean, what do most of us women do when we go into a car right away? We lock the door.
Or as we're walking to the car, what do we have in our hands?
Yes, or what are we
We've been
paying
taught to put
attention
the
to?
key through the knuckles,
Yeah.
and even now with like the fobs,
Mhm.
I I always have just not the fob on my key ring. I
Mhm.
always have whether it's an office key
Mhm.
or house key, even though our house is also electronic to get in, but I have some key in there as my it's my because I was like I'm been ingrained to have something between my knuckles.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I remember recently I watched a snippet from a Tony Robbins training, I guess it was. And he posed the question to men because he was addressing the need of women for safety in a
Yeah,
relationship, right?
yeah,
And he posed the question to the men. He said, "How many men in this room are worried when they go and walk on the streets?
right,
How many men in this room are afraid for their life and their safety when they just walk out of the door?"
right.
And no hands went down. And then he said, "And now women, how many women in this room feel those things?" And every single hand went up. And so he was sharing that as an example to say, so men, men often don't understand the sensitivity of women, but there's a
Right,
reason.
right.
There's a reason. And so he was sharing how safety is the most important thing that we need to
Yeah,
feel in a relationship or an environment. And unfortunately, there are a lot of male predators out there that
right.
it's unfortunate that is true. There's a lot of great men out there too,
That's right.
but unfortunately,
So there needs to be like a resurgent of like a male movement of we are the protectors. We create safe spaces.
yes,
Like
yes,
what does masculinity really mean? It's not
yes,
about being aggressive. It's
yeah,
about being protective
yes,
and protective of women, children, because that was what the patterns were coming out. Like I said, thousands of videos of women saying,
yeah,
there's an unpredictableness about them, about their violence,
mhm,
about their their propensity for sexual violence and
yes,
rape and
yes,
assault and and that for women is our most vulnerable places,
mhm,
right?
absolutely,
Versus when they were citing like, well, why did you choose the bear?
mhm,
Bears are more predictable. I
yes,
know what they're coming at to kill me or
mhm,
to start. Like I can figure out and
or they're setting the
handle the
boundaries,
predictability of it,
yeah, yes,
but I
exactly,
can't predict. Men are so unpredictable that I would
mhm,
rather stick with, and that's a safety thing,
yes,
right?
yep,
Um, so yeah, it was interesting that. Uh,
yeah,
that whole debate. And now it's funny that you said that there was a professor that asked. There's a that asked the question of like men, what do you feel safe walking the streets? There was another kind of like a panel discussion where like in a classroom, a professor asked, if tides were turned, women, what would be the first thing you did if you were a man? Like if instantly, and majority they were like, I would walk around at night without fear.
mhm, yep, totally,
And the
totally,
men were like, that would be the first thing you would do? And
yeah.
they're like, to have that freedom.
Yeah, because it's a constant fear in our nervous system. We
Yep.
don't have to be thinking of it, but it's like a hypervigilance that's always there.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
anywhere. Yeah. Yes.
So it also, I do a lot of work with, businesses. We try to uncover kind of the problems within a company. Where's the friction? And a lot of times it's not the tactics people are using. Like, it's not your marketing that's making your business not grow. It's not the advertising. It's usually some alignment or clarity that comes from the top of either the team's not aligned. And it's like, why is that team not aligned? Is it because it's a fear-based culture from the top down?
Right.
There's human dynamics, right? In our businesses. Like, we don't go anywhere unless, like, you're in a business with other people. There's some human dynamics that come into play.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, and I work with a lot of female founders and a lot of, male-led companies. And it's interesting to hear the differences between, as a woman leads, to make a great, if you're trying to grow a business and you want to have more of an innovative culture, right? A more playful, a more inclusive, a more productive culture. Like, really, you want to have everybody on your team like a well-oiled machine, and loyal and really productive and efficient.
Yeah.
Those occur. The healthiest cultures are what we call play cultures, innovative cultures.
Yeah. Yeah.
The unhealthy ones, toxic, unproductive, they're fear-based, right? They're suppression of just do what I tell you to do. Don't ask questions. You'll be in the know when I let you be in the know. That kind of thing, where it's like, you're not in that group, you're in that group, kind of a culture. And it's interesting. There's been a movement over the last couple of, decade or so of leadership needs, like, the traits that embody and embrace great leaders. And because I think we got away from that for decades, because it's about humility. It's about empathy. It's about, collaboration, having real discernment. So it's not about being indecisive. It's understanding and getting, the information to then make decisions, but with real clarity, having a vision,
And
being clear on that vision, and being. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. I'm just excited. Like, it's inclusive.
Very inclusive,
rather than the dynamic tension modality. Like, like in the 80s, that kind of started.
Yes, because it was like, we're in this hierarchical, we want to suppress information or just do order taking. And those studies have come out to go, that doesn't work. Really, when you look at leaders back in, like, sometimes, like, the great leaders that really believed in more stoics, more deitist kind of leadership. It was really based on empathy. I'm going to meet you where you are. Let's collaborate. But also, I'm going to have a clear vision. I'm going to practice discernment, but I'm going to be consistent. And that's how you build trust, right? You can't say, I'm going to do this and then do something else, right? That's not consistent. And it's interesting, as women have, entered the workplace, back in the 40s, 50s, really in the 60s and the 70s, and how we've kind of grown into leadership positions where, CEOs and founder-led companies. It's just interesting. Those traits, they come naturally to women.
Yes.
We're kind of born into that way of thinking. We are natural collaborators. We're natural nurturers. And it's interesting of how when men carry those traits, the last couple of decades we're like, oh, he's really evolved.
Right. Yes.
Women are still seen as the problem.
Yes.
And so I've been working on this, like, framework or whatever, combining research, real world stats, and examples, and kind of, it's just interesting of we were not the problem.
No, no.
I was like, she was
the
never the problem, right?
no.
And
It's the
and
different
how,
operating systems.
yes, and want to celebrate, but like I want more men to to embody these traits.
Yes.
But I really want more women to be seen in the same manner of if we embody those traits and we're decisive, we're seen as aggressive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Men are seen as decisive. And we try to claim like we're showing a vision and we're staying true to that vision and we're staying consistent and we have conviction.
Yeah.
We're often seen as a lack of authority. Mm-hmm. It's opposite.
Or
so
problematic.
A lot of it's really perception problems. Yeah. We're not the problem. It's the perception. Of that.
And it's also like I was saying, the different operating systems, because you were saying about how we are naturally collaborative and more communication oriented, right? That actually starts inside the womb.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. The first female brain that develops is the communication sector.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas for the male, it's more the survival sector, the warrior, the aggressive centers that develop, because historically the man has been the one to take care of everything, deal with the wild animals, and they attack the clan and things like that. So they need to have that heightened attention in that way. And so biologically, that's how we've developed. So we're different from the moment we're in the womb. And if we can at least understand that on a collective level, then it's no longer opposites, better, worse, whatever. It's like, so how do we develop each of us, so I can develop my masculine side more and the man can develop.
We all have that inside of us. And it's interesting you say that. I'm a faith-based person. I'm very spiritual, and studying in that sense, I think there's also a fragmentation within the Christianity culture, right? There's many Jesuses that we tend to obey and follow. There's and a lot of it is like fear-based, control-based theology versus, truly when you look at the root of Christianity, it's about love.
Yes.
It's all about love.
Yes.
But when you look at Genesis and the stories of how man and woman were made in God's image, the ancient text, when they, a lot of that fear-based theology, that control-based theology, woman was made from the man's rib.
Right.
But really, when you study it, it's not. It's God's making man and then used a piece of man, but they're both made in God's image.
Exactly.
And a lot of people, the translations that came out just in this, in the 1900s, translation of the Greek word for it was women or helper, and that is not it. So when you break down the word that is used to describe God in the ancient Greek text is Ezer. E-Z-E-R. And that is the only other time that word is used is when in Genesis to describe when he created woman. It is Ezer. Kenegdo. Yeah. So woman is Ezer Kenegdo. Kenegdo in the Greek text the ancient text is facing, counterpart.
Right.
So Ezer means strength, protector, and creator.
Yeah.
That's what Ezer means, because that's how God is described, right? And that's why that word is used to describe God. Mm-hmm. Ezer Kenegdo is described as women, and Kenegdo means counterpart. We face. So when you look at truly the biblical root of man versus woman is the creator of life.
Yes.
Woman is the protector of humanity.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But they face man.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish more men as we talk about the evolution of, it's not control. it's not, man should want to do everything in their power to protect the woman.
Yes.
Because the woman then protects him and provides life.
Yes.
But,
Yes.
protect that source, the life source. And when they talk about man being the head of the household, they also get that confused because the ancient Greek text of head is source. It's river source.
Right. Right.
So it's not, I am the head of the household, or I'm the head of, as a control thing. It's no, you're the nourishment.
Yes.
For the woman.
Beautiful. Yeah, that makes so much more sense.
And so when you really study and learn the biblical story, it's a love story of how Jesus, came down, saved us, but also a man and woman story of how we face each other, how we're each other. Woman is the counterpart to man, where we're the life source to humanity. We're the creator of life, but we need protection. We need nourishment. We need our energy protected, but our energy also needs to be nourished.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
I think that's where,
totally. And if more men were that way, we wouldn't choose the bear over the man.
Right.
Right. If there are more men like that in the world than the other, then.
And I think if that's how we perceived men, we would be saying absolutely.
Yes.
I wouldn't even it wouldn't even be a second thought.
Yeah. Completely.
All right.
Completely. Yeah. And
there you go.
And a thought came to me too when you're saying about all the fear-based doctrine, right? And the irony is that Jesus said like 369 times, "Fear not." So it's the irony that there's so much fear-based doctrine, right? And then when that's not even the root.
It's not even the root. But a lot of people try to use, it's manipulation, it's control. Like, let me use scripture to control somebody. Yes. I mean, my dad was a ordained priest. He was a theologian. He ended up leaving the church. I was like, he took off his collar because he found another mission. To a lot of our laws around disabled people, mentally disabled. He started working and doing lobbying, trying to change rules and structure about how we look at insurance or healthcare, and how do we change perception about allowing people with disabilities to just be a part of normal society. So that's what he did. But he always kind of did a warning of I want you to explore other churches, because Christianity is a big tent, right?
Very big tent.
And you need to look at Christianity, all the church religion doctrines, think of those as different organizations. Like, they're the same as, Apple versus Google. Well, that's Catholic versus Lutheran. They're just different, how they're different organizations, but everybody's a big tent. Just like you go to a workplace and you look at how the organization is run, that's how you need to see, do I feel safe here?
Yes.
Can my spirituality flourish here? Do I feel comfort? And he always said, the red flag is if your church weaponizes scripture for hate, or to control, then they have lost the purpose of what it's meant to be. So he was like, that's when that is not for you.
Yes, absolutely. Huge red flags.
Huge red flag.
Yeah, anything dogmatic that limits the possibilities.
Right.
Compassion.
That's not based in love.
And growing. Yeah, right. It's not love. Yeah,
it's not love. It's not how we give grace.
No.
Right. No. You're not going to get into heaven because you're trying to figure out some scorekeeping of, if I go to church every day, but I'm going to go, I go to church every Sunday, but that I'm exploiting children.
Yeah.
Or I'm having multiple affairs, or I'm cheating and stealing, or I want to go, I hate my neighbors, and I don't want my neighbors to be in my community, and so I'm going to go bully.
Yeah.
God knows what you're thinking. Don't care. There is no scorekeeping. Like that. If you have hate in your heart,
Yeah.
you're not like you're not getting in.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, there is a bit of a scorekeeping in terms of, if we go into the quantum, right? Everything we put out into the universe comes back, it ripples back. So even if they're going to church on the Sunday, that's one tiny ripple, but all the other actions are bigger ripples. So that's always going to come back eventually, right? So, yeah. Anyway, thank you, JJ.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry we went on a big tangent there,
But that's what this is about. We
it
communicate.
is. But it all came down
it.
to the man versus the bear debate.
Yeah, and everything that it opens up in everyday life,
Right.
right? Because that's an important topic. Yeah, thank you for that. I had no idea that was on the face on the.
Oh my God! Yeah, it's been going on like a year. I don't know. It's just and and yeah, we started talking about, and then you see now it's entered into classrooms, and professors are talking about it, and because it's an interesting like you said psychology debate of how women and the gender bias and the gender roles, and especially how it plays out in the workplace or marriages or just relationships in general.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. All right, let's hear about some bear medicine.
Bear medicine. Yeah. So like I was saying in the intro, so I spent many years learning with different First Nation elders from different tribes, like from a Peruvian elder, Cree, Ojibwe, Musqueam elders that I've spent beautiful time with learning drumming and healing, and one of the medicines that was strongest for me in my life is bear medicine. So for them, the animals are not just animals; they actually offer reflections of consciousness and frequency. So the bear is usually associated generally with the West in most traditions. And the key elements are introspection, healing, rest and restoration, the courage to face oneself. So the bear doesn't rush in. The bear withdraws when it hibernates. And it's not to escape life, but to digest and to process and to hibernate, right? The hibernation and the importance that
we all need that. We all need to kind of take that. Yeah.
We all need to have those moments, even if it's just like 15 minutes in the day, a hibernation period where, okay, I'm just going to reland, I'm going to reset, I'm going to reorientate myself if something happens, right? Because life is very dynamic, right? So whether it's a long retreat where we go away for a week or 2 weeks versus, every day giving ourselves a little bit of hibernation time so that we can collect ourselves.
Right.
So bear medicine is about that. And it's also for healing, deeper stuff, trauma. That's when you go into a deeper inner journey to know yourself, right? So in many traditions, the bear is associated, as I said, with the West. And the West represents the setting sun, the end of cycles, reflection and integration, and the place where we process what has been lived. So you could say the West is where we don't perform life, we process it. And it's beautiful. I want to share just a few of the different nations, right? So that from the Plains, Lakota, Dakota, Blackfoot, for them, the bear represents healing and medicine knowledge, often associated with medicine people and healers. And they're known as a protector with their knowing. So when you think of that man versus bear thing, right? The man needs to be the protector. Right. So it kind of ties in there, right? That's the bear energy. So we want the man to pick up that bear energy of protectiveness, which is actually it's innate, but it's gotten distorted, right? With a lot of the way that the Bible has positioned women and other things, so that natural nurturing protection has been
the way the Bible, the books that have been published have positioned women, or the interpretations. I think some of the ancient text has not. I mean, but but it's also been interpreted. The books that were chosen to be in the Bible were based on a patriarchal. Because you look like they chose those books because they were trying to. They're all based on forming the institution of a religion versus all the books like the book of Mary Magdalene, the book of Thomas. Some of the other books were all around really more of Christianity as a form of internal transformation. But it's a lot of it is interpretation of women were always a part of like the ancient church, right? We were always seen as leaders over time because of the patriarchy, the control, the interpretation of helper as servant. You know,
all that
it's a wrong, it's not the correct interpretation.
Yeah. And even if I could say too about in the original Bible, I read this a long time ago. It was about being a steward of the earth, not the ruler of earth. So even just that little shift.
That's right. The words that we use, right? I mean, or even if you look at like when I say the patriarchy got kind of infused, because even when you and I think because you'll learn, when the Easter texts are all coming out, when Jesus died, he rose 3 days later. Who did he? One, the women stayed. The women had the strength to stay, but that's who they first appeared to. Were women. And Paul, and I think it was Paul that said, like, and you can sense the kind of a little bit of the gender bias right in the text. Was how dare he see you before us? Why did he appear to you?
Yeah, that's
versus
right.
Us.
I forgot about
the
that.
Men, the disciples is what his interpretation. But the church, like the greater Christianity is all based on like, because Paul was building the institution of Christianity. So you can see how that just gets infused. And
and so then like the bear in this medicine is the protector, and so that's what's gotten lost in these
completely
in these misperceived translations where it's not right. And so then going into the Ojibwa, the bear is Makawa, and it's the guardian of the West as well there, and it's a symbol of courage and strength and thorough and true introspection. And it's connected to the plant medicine and healing practices. And in Haida, bear represents leadership, strength, and protection. So these are also they're very masculine action. And also the introspection is very feminine. So for me, the bear represents the embodiment of both. Right? It has the nurturing and the introspection and the healing, and it's got the action and the leadership and the strength. So this for me is what every one of us is here to do, is to learn to embody both elements of the divine masculine and the divine feminine, because they exist in both of us.
That's right.
Right. And then we help each other to develop those in each other. Right. So we're a mirror to show, well, this is also possible, right? Like mirror neurons, right? So when we're around a healthy masculine energy, then we start developing that masculinity, those pathways in our brain that are, more action driven, more focused, more clear, more discerning, more direct. And then, men can learn from the women, the more empathy, the understanding, right? So the bear for me represents both. In my experience, even with just doing, I did a vision fast for 4 days, no food, no water, you're up in the mountain. And all you have is your tobacco ties and your instruments. Like I had my flute and my drum and my smudge, and that's it. And so that's why it's called a vision quest. You have nothing. And the only time you're allowed to drink water is if it rains. And then you're allowed to have a bit of water. But otherwise, it's 4 days, no food, no water. And our elders.
You were clothed. This wasn't like naked and afraid, was it?
Pardon?
It was not. You were clothed, right?
Are you? I'm clothed. Yeah, I'm clothed. I am clothed.
Afraid.
I am clothed.
For the survivor of.
I am. We are clothed for sure, but we're alone in the. And there's bears there, and there's cougars there. There's everything was in the mountains there, and each of us would found our own spot, right?
Yeah.
To have that introspection. So that's the bear. Right. So a vision fast is kind of like bear medicine too. And so the bear was always a strong force for me of feeling comfort, safety, protection, and the permission to go within. Right. It's not, like some people think pausing and hibernating is a waste of life or a waste of time.
No, you need to.
But we need.
I mean, we try to train that even with like founders who are, anybody that's in leadership. You need to take moments, whether it's a daily or weekly, that you've got to take moments to pause
Yes.
and reflect and think, and make sure that you're staying consistent, that you're not the bottleneck, that you are reflecting to go, ugh, and spark creative energy. But you can't do that if you're running 1,000. Like, you have to hibernate.
And it's really to just be as well. To just be, not just the perpetual do, right? So so the bear brings that medicine in of being, right? And landing in what is and in the moment, and then allowing what is happening to move through us and to land and integrate, so that when we come out of our cave, we have more integration, more focus, more clarity, so bear medicine is very powerful that way. And that's why for me with the vision fast, that was the strongest medicine. And I had some journeys there that were very powerful. And so the Haida, continue with the Haida, it also carries a strong connection to family and maternal care. So there we have the feminine. So it's got the masculine and the feminine. Our topics work really well together. That's really cool.
They do.
We had
totally synergized.
Yeah, totally synergized, even though we had no idea what the other was talking about, right? Yeah. And then the Inuit traditions, the bear, especially the polar bear, represents survival, resilience, and deep instinctual wisdom. And that's what the hibernation brings us back into touch with, right? When we're in the world and we're just active, doing, we're not tapped in to that instinctual knowledge. And that's another reason why we need those pauses. We need that integration. We need that hibernation medicine to right, to pause, so that instinct can actually guide us versus our mind leading, right? That's our soul can actually come in and have some input. And that only happens when we let ourselves be, not when we're not in the state of doing. The doing is the mind and our action, right? We need both. So for me, it's also about finding the alignment where they work together as a synergy, right? Instead of mind versus soul and heart, it's like, no, working as a synergy, right? That's how we're created. This the Holy Trinity too. Everything is threes: body, mind, soul, right? So for most of us, we've learned to live separate, so incongruent, right? So we think one thing, say one thing, do another thing. Right. And so that's a big part of what causes a lot of dis-ease in the body, because we're not
misalignment.
Misalignment.
We call it, and that happens in companies too.
Yes.
That is the number one reason why, if you can't grow, there's misalignment in yourself.
Yeah.
But you're not communicating. You don't have an alignment with your team. You don't have a clear vision that people. But it starts with them. My quote that I give to, and like an opening to a workshop that I do, is your capacity for growth is relative to how deeply you look in the mirror.
Oh, totally.
And then with that, your company's capacity for growth is based on the capacity for the leaders to grow. So if you can't grow as a leader of your company will never grow.
Yes, that's totally true. And that's why too, being an entrepreneur is like the biggest school of self there is, because you have to keep meeting yourself.
That's right.
You have to keep, and that's bear medicine.
Yourself.
That's what bear medicine is: meeting yourself, being with yourself, that reflection, right? Seeing so that you can grow and evolve. So I love how our topics are really cool.
And so like little tips that, like, I do this, but it's other things that we teach other founders and business leaders. Like, if you're running a team, this doesn't have to be just like if you're the owner of a company, but that's who we work with most. But this is like, I use some of these tips as I was in a corporation, a big agency, but I was leading 50 people, and so, where am I a bottleneck? I mean, those things should be always on your mind, but you need to create discipline. If you're running a machine, right? You've got to make time for that. So schedule it. So we always say, like, every Friday morning, or every Monday morning, like find the time that you get a piece of paper out, or like a little, those little moleskin little, notes, and just go, am I the bottleneck on anything? Yeah. Another one is another question to ask yourself is, what am I teaching my company through my actions this week? What am I teaching my company through my decisions this week?
And am I aligned with that instinctual wisdom? Because that's how we got into this little segment of conversation, right? How do we get in touch with that deep instinctual wisdom? Am I in that space, or what? Or how do I connect to that if I'm disconnected, so that everybody can connect to the same field of wisdom and knowledge, right? So yeah, and the universal threads of the bear medicine, even though there's variations between nations, the bear teaches us true strength is not always outward. Sometimes strength is pausing, going inward, facing what is within, and allowing healing to occur in stillness. So you might think of it in this way, like in a world that constantly tells us to move faster, bear medicine reminds us that sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is to go within and be still. And then we can connect and find our way. Yeah. That's my bear medicine sharing.
I love it.
Yeah, it was fun. A lot of little tie-ins. Very cool. Very cool. And now you're going to talk to us about the sandwich.
Okay. So this is another debate. Like, we said bear versus man debate. Another big debate that goes on. Is the hot dog a sandwich? What do you think?
I've never thought of it as a sandwich.
I was like, no. I just think of it as like, is hot dog a genre all of its own? Like whether it's a brat or a hot dog or, because then it's also is a hamburger, cheeseburger, a sandwich. Because we also say hamburger, cheeseburger, but in the same genre or whatever, we say it's a chicken sandwich. Well, you're just replacing the beef with the chicken. So are they not all sandwiches?
Yeah. That's true. I mean, I guess it's like the ones that are stacked feel like sandwiches, but the hot dog does not feel like a sandwich because it's long and it's open. I don't know. It's an interesting visual, right? Like it just that visual makes it seem like a different thing, but I guess maybe it is. Yeah.
And same with how would you classify then a wrap? Is a wrap a sandwich?
I never would.
Because you think about it, a sandwich is a piece, pieces of bread with something in the middle of it. Well, so the hot dog is basically a bun.
Yeah, true.
That comes over to the side. So, and a burger is 2 pieces of bread.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, Ron. Is it really 2 pieces of bread? A hot dog? Mine always separates. But then is a quesadilla a sandwich?
Yeah, interesting. So what's
a wrap? A wrap. I mean, Ron's like, no. Or a burrito.
Yeah.
But a quesadilla is 2 pieces with stuff in the middle.
Yeah.
Or a was it? What's the like a banh mi? Isn't that a sandwich?
Huh?
It's 2 pieces of bread.
So what's the consensus here in what you're?
There is everybody has. Or I said so the state of Kentucky, their sandwich, their state sandwich is the hot brown. Well, it's an open face sandwich.
Oh, so it doesn't even have the 2 levels of bread.
It doesn't have the 2 level, but they call it an open-faced sandwich.
Huh. Interesting.
But a hot brown, I didn't know what it was, but it's the hot brown is a piece of basically your old white bread, and then you put roasted turkey on it, and then you smother it with gravy. Okay. And then you usually serve it with mashed potatoes or whatever on the side, but you eat it with a fork and knife.
Oh, so, but is like for me, like a sandwich, I could see a hot dog because in the burrito, because you hold it with your
You
hand.
hold it, or hey,
With a
people are
fork and
like
knife.
chicken sandwich, or
Interesting.
yeah. So what? Yeah,
Interesting.
I don't really. I'm not on either side. I just find
Uh,
it fascinating of when you go, because we do a lot of menus for restaurants.
yeah.
We just
Yeah.
design a bunch of menus. So it's like, oh, there's a lot of restaurant owners. Some just go, fuck it, I'm going to put everything under a sandwich,
Yeah.
category. And then you have others that are like, well, it's technically not a sandwich, so let me put sandwiches, handhelds, and more.
Yeah. 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 Handheld and more. That's too funny.
Oh,
Wow.
sorry, Ron, I cursed. So you
Oh,
can bleep me out.
oops.
But yeah, so it's just funny of the mindset of even the restaurant owner who, when we do their menus, some are like, it can all be lumped together, and others are like, no, I need to subcategorize.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
like, well, safety. We like to feel safety with what we eat too. So we have the name, right? And when we have the idea of this is that and that is that, then it's like the safety of wanting to eat, maybe even, right? It touches that primal. That's why we might
right.
defend it so strongly. Right?
I do say I will get on the, like, hot dogs. I kind of feel like they're its own
Yeah,
thing.
I think that too.
But hamburgers and cheeseburger, everything that's would be sandwiches. But I
Mhm.
will say the open faced. Now, if you have to eat it with a fork and knife,
Yeah.
like if you can't pick
Not a
it up,
sandwich. Yeah.
it's not a sandwich.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I
maybe we
will,
can just say anything that's handheld, you put in your mouth, that's a sandwich.
right.
'Cause
If
you're
I
holding
like
it.
two pieces of bread, because even if you look at, well, it's one piece of bread, but I would say I make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, half of them, I only use one piece. I just fold it over. Still a
Right.
sandwich.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Or a turkey, like to make a half, just
Yeah,
using one piece of bread, which
yeah,
is the same as like a taco or anything else.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Handheld and put into
Put in
mouth.
my mouth is a sandwich. There you go. I think we've just defined it.
Yeah,
Anything that
just
is a
defined it. Very
handheld
nice.
with
Defined
bread,
on defined on
with
the Going
some
Daily
bread.
Morning. We did it. We got the definition down pat now. I beg to differ, he says. Oh, that's cool. That's a
All
fun
right.
topic.
That
Yeah,
was a fun topic.
that was
That's all I got.
okay. All right. So then my next topic is it is what it is. And so before was the bare wisdom, going within. And one of the hardest things of going within is meeting what is,
Oh.
being able to meet what is, be it
Oh.
grief, be it anger, be it sadness, be it violence, be it whatever, or the situations of the world. Being able to be with what is not easy. And so we hear that phrase a lot, and it can sound very dismissive. Oh, it is what it is, right?
Kind of, is this what,
But
go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, but when you sit with it,
Yeah.
it's actually one of the most honest and powerful statements we can make because we're being with what is. We are in the present moment with what is. We're
Yeah.
not in resignation, not in indifference, but clarity.
Mm.
And it's the moment that
Clarity, alignment. You've got to
yeah,
be good with what
exactly.
yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
the moment we stop arguing with reality and we stop resisting what has already occurred and we stop layering stories over truth and instead we land in what is. And when we land in what is, we actually have capacity to navigate what is and move through what is and to recreate or heal or do what we need to. But if we're not landing in what is and instead we get caught in the stories, then we're always avoiding and deflecting and denying
Right.
and
Right.
distracting, right? So when I was in my 20s, my whole world fell apart. My whole self-perception and few traumas took place, and I was wrestling with myself and wrestling with reality and trying to find my way. I was living up in the mountains in the Italian part of Switzerland, chopping wood, working the gardens, cooking for people. That was my medicine. And one day, this guy passed through. He was a friend of a friend of the owner of this center, and he shared this poem with me. And that poem changed Everything has been with me ever since. And it's called What It Is. And I'm going to share that here because it gives a really beautiful insight into that nature of it is what it is. And it's by a man named Erich Fried. He was an Austrian poet born in 1921. He lived until 1988. He fled Nazi persecution and later lived in London. He's known for writing about love, truth, and human contradiction. His work is simple, but deeply piercing and honest. And so here's the poem. It's nonsense, says reason. It is what it is, says love. It's disaster, says logic. It's nothing but pain, says fear. It's hopeless, says common sense. It is what it is, says love. It's ridiculous, says pride. It's foolhardy, says prudence. It's impossible, says experience. It is what it is, says love. So if you sit with that, right, it really, he has a piercing way. And when that land is like, okay, you know, so when you, for me, when I meet the moment, you know, when I feel trauma or I feel anger or I feel, you know, triggers come up all the time, right?
Oh, yeah.
And one of my focuses is in my work is master your triggers, master your life, right? So what do we tend to do when we're triggered? Instead of just meeting, well, what is coming up in me? We say, oh, that person's triggering me, or that situation is doing this to me, right? So it is what it is. If I can meet my triggers with it is what it is, it's like, okay, what is it then? Where is it coming from? What part of me is it coming from? Is this really true? How much of it is based on a distorted perception? Because you were talking about perception before too. Everything's perception, right? So most people often when they hear it is what it is, it feels dismissive, passive, giving up. But in truth, it's actually the doorway to presence.
Right.
It's the doorway to actually be here now, really be here now. And in the now, when I'm in the mud of my life, when I'm in the dirt, that's when I can make my mud hut. That's when I can make my tools. That's when I can, you know, like symbolically, I have to be in the mud. I have to acknowledge I'm in the mud. I can't be in the mud and imagine I'm in a rose garden.
Right.
It's not going to work. I'm not going to be able to get out of the mud. I'll just keep sinking, right? If it's quicksand, it's just spontaneously coming to me as an idea there, right?
Right.
So, and then also when you look at the neuroscience layer of this too, right? When we resist what is, we enter survival mode. Our limbic brain activates, the frontal brain goes offline, perception gets distorted. Again, we're talking about perception. So our stories are working again together.
Right.
And then we react instead of responding. And what this does, it creates looping thoughts, emotional entanglement, and prolonged suffering. So when we meet what is, we actually can land in the breath. And that's also for me, bare medicine.
Yeah.
Right? So we go within, but then we have to know how to meet what we meet within, right? How to be present with what it is. So we breathe, we stay present, we allow the emotions to move like in a trigger, and we allow the nervous system to start to regulate through being present. And then that's when clarity becomes available, right? So then we're not afraid of reality itself anymore. In reality, it's actually we're afraid of feeling it fully. So understanding that's a big discernment, right? We say, I'm afraid of life, I'm afraid of the situation, but it's actually, no, I'm afraid to feel the emotional pain or the emotional impact of everything. And of course, we're going to be afraid if we don't have the tools, right? So if we don't understand how to navigate emotional pain, how are we going to get through? So of course, we're going to avoid it. This is completely human, completely normal, right? We're not going to go in that cave without if we don't know what's in there.
Or sometimes we let the pain overwhelm or that trigger overwhelm us.
Yes.
Versus just taking it in. There's a mindset trick, to kind of help discipline your mind around, okay, something, whatever that you get bad news, right? And it might trigger like being self-conscious or what did I did wrong or, I'm a failure or whatever, or things just don't go your way. Like your flight gets canceled. Like sometimes that can literally just mess people up. Just things you think my day is setting off this way, or my week, I'm relying on these things to happen. And real world is, especially if anybody runs a business, nothing that you think is going to happen this week is going to happen the way. And there are people that are resilient and kind of work through that. Other people, it can bring them down, spiral. And then they start making bad decisions. They're not in alignment. They start, second guessing themselves. But it's a really neat mindset of just saying, with anything that comes at you, whatever it is, good or bad, yes, thank you. Yes, I acknowledge that react or whatever, that decision, that reaction. My reaction is going to say, yes, thank you. It must have happened for a reason. This must be a lesson for me to learn. And this must be something I need to reflect deeper on. Could I have done something differently? But thank you. Thank you for this to happen, because it was meant to happen.
Because there's again, ripples come back, right? So if I have a program in me of not being enough, I'm going to keep attracting situations that activate that trigger. So the action is to not say, oh, I'm not feeling enough. We don't even acknowledge it. We just react, right? But then we say, okay, where don't I feel enough? Where did that come in? What can I give myself in this? The bear medicine. How can I nourish myself? How can I build strength in this? How can I build resilience? Right? How can I know myself through this experience, so that when the next trigger happens, it won't trip me up so much, maybe not at all. But usually with triggers, there's layers of integration, right? So it's like, first time is a big explosion, next time a medium explosion, and then a few more small ones. And it's like, okay, now our biology's got it, right? So when we have the courage to land in what is and what those hard emotions are, because nobody wants to feel not enough. Nobody wants to feel unlovable, right? And so we do everything to not feel it. But if we let ourselves land in the feeling of it, but with awareness and presence,
and to learn from it,
then what happens is something new begins to unfold. And it's not instant, it's not forced, but organically a new path begins to appear. And then we get out of the looping of reactivity and denial and distortion and all of these wonderful things.
And what happens is misalignment.
Yeah, exactly.
Misalignment. Yeah,
exactly.
And that would, and like you said, the misalignment in ourselves as a leader, it ripples. Do not, if we think that doesn't affect the people around us, you are kidding yourselves.
Yeah, totally. Right. So perhaps it is what it is not the end of the story. It's the moment we finally step into it and let it teach us. And then so we can encounter life fully, because when we're in denial and distortion, we're not really living either. We're in our own virtual reality and bubble. So seeing it is what it is the moment that we can finally step into life, actually. Oh, man. So
that was good. I loved how we tied this all together with the bears.
It all worked really well. It
was fantastic.
Beautiful.
All lessons learned.
Yeah.
And then we threw in some fun with the sandwiches.
Yes. Gotta have the playful. The bears.
The bears.
And so now we're reaching the end, and then on Saturday I think is the next show, right?
Yep.
That'll be with Kenny and Ron, or it's going to be
Elena. Yay. Beautiful. That'll be a good one.
That's going to be great. They're a fun team together. And so wishing everybody who tuned in, thank you so much for supporting us. And there's lots of great replays too, especially the one from Becky with the Uganda Fund. That was a very meaningful and deep show. And so if you'd like to see that, then you can just go to RhodeIsland.com. And what I've found is that when I type in the name of the host, then all the shows come up with the host. And so you'll be able to find the Uganda Fund there. And wishing you all a beautiful rest of the week, and deep breaths, and land with what is, and
say yes, thank you to things. Say it is what it is. Use some bare necessity. And for all our women listeners, you are more powerful than you think.
Yes, and men, you have so much capacity for love.
So much capacity for love and protection. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Absolutely.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Solve
We'll
the
see you
riddle.
next week, or I will see you next week.
I'll see you next week. Okay.